First, the difference between oil economics and natural gas economics is that oil economics is an economics about rent sharing. Low cost, high prices, huge rents to be shared. Natural gas is completely different. Natural gas, high cost, and it's mainly an economics of cost maintenance. A country which has both oil and gas should always try to maximize domestic use of natural gas in order to export as much oil as possible. Why? Because transportation costs are lower when the gas is used domestically. Gas can and should be and must be and can be a strong driver for socioeconomic development of the country. In order to do so, we need to give the right incentives to the investors. They need to be able to recover the costs they have incurred, and we need to give them the incentives to explore in order to find and to put on stream new natural gas. And also non-associated natural gas, which is more expensive. Associated natural gas, you recover a lot of costs with oil. Non-associated natural gas, of course, we would all like to have a lot of oil and some gas associated to it, but we also need gas, and we need to encourage that, and that is more expensive, and we need to see how to manage that. The government is entitled to get part of this total rent. It's very clear. We produce oil, we produce gas. This is no longer there for future generations. It belongs to the nation. They should get a fair share of the rent. But the consumers, they are also entitled to have a part of their rent. In other words, the governmental rent should not be too high. Otherwise, we outprice the commodity. Otherwise, we do not give the incentive, we do not transfer the rent to the consumers. And it is the consumers, by having a lower price, by therefore having a share of the rent indirectly, that they will consume more, industry will develop, electrification will go on, power generation will be more developed, and socioeconomic development will happen. So Ghana, as we see it, should strongly encourage the use of its own domestic gas resources. This also means to develop more domestic gas resources. This means to put these domestic gas resources at the service of its own population, of its own economy. By the way, Ghana is not getting huge royalties when Ghana imports natural gas. Ghana gets royalties when it produces natural gas domestically. Therefore, let's encourage the exploration, extraction, the use of domestic natural gas with intelligent incentives, not overpricing, not overcharging the gas with too heavy levies. We saw in the presentation by Theo, there are upstream levies, upstream royalties. They represent about 50% add-on the cost, or 1/3 of the total cost. And in addition, there are midstream and downstream levies, the one which Theo tackled, and they amount to $2 per million BTU. It's a lot of money. If this could be transferred, this downstream, additional royalties, levies, in addition to the cost, if part of this could be transferred to the consumers by having lower prices, the price of electricity will be lower, socioeconomic development will take off, people will be convinced and will be encouraged to move back from using their own diesel generators to use back and to use again electricity from the network.